Every time you post your life online, your value drops. In a world of digital beggars, absolute silence isn't a sign of a boring life. It is the ultimate psychological flex. Look around. Everyone is screaming for attention. Look at my success. Look at my relationships. Please validate my existence. But the moment you hit underscore, quote, underscore, 0, underscore, to prove your worth, you have handed the crowd the keys to your self-esteem. You are no longer living your life. You are performing it. You become a puppet, and the algorithm pulls the strings. But the most powerful, psychologically impenetrable people on Earth share one terrifying trait. They are completely invisible on your feed. In a few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact subconscious signal you send every time you update your status. A fatal flaw that screams, quote, 1, to anyone who knows how to read it. And I'll show you why your sudden disappearance is the most dangerous thing you can do to a manipulator. Today we are dissecting the dark psychology of the digital void. We are going to explore how weaponized silence makes you untouchable, how it forces your enemies to project their own insecurities onto you, and how to instantly flip the power dynamic in any relationship just by stepping out of the spotlight. If you are ready to kill your need to be seen, let's begin. Imagine this. Scrolling through the endless Instagram feed, you see a parade of vanity. Successful achievements, perfect relationships, endless travels. And under each post, an invisible cry. Look at me, appreciate me, confirm that I exist. Most people have turned into digital beggars. They feed their most intimate moments to an algorithm in hopes of getting a dose of dopamine in the form of likes. Cortisol spikes when the likes drop. Their brains scream that if they don't show the world their value today, tomorrow the world will forget about them. And the moment you hit share to prove your worth, you lose. Because the world doesn't judge you by the depth of your content. It judges you by your desperate need for that judgment. Those who constantly post are those who seek approval. Those who broadcast their every move are those who recognize the power of the crowd to judge their lives. There is a cruel truth that modern spectacle society tries to erase from you. The truth is that real power is not about reach. Real power is about who controls their own attention. And the moment you make your life public, you enter their game. You become an exhibit in their zoo. But what if you don't do that? What if, against the backdrop of general digital noise, you maintain a frightening, unnatural silence? Today, we will examine the psychology of digital invisibility. We will explore why your brain urges you to post and how to suppress this instinct using a strategy that ancient sages and military leaders would envy. I'll show you how silence on social media instantly elevates your status. How to make others question their own reality simply by remaining elusive. How to use invisibility not as an escape, but as a weapon of mass destruction against someone else's ego. But be warned, this will require you to kill a part of yourself that you have been feeding since you created your first account. The part of you that begs to be seen. The part that needs permission to be happy. If you can kill that need, you will become dangerous. You will become untouchable. Let's begin. So why do you do it? Why, when something significant happens in your life, you get a promotion, buy a car, drink coffee with a beautiful view, is your first instinct to grab your phone and document it, It all starts in childhood. Remember, you're 5 years old. You've built a tower out of blocks or drawn a crooked picture. What was the only way you could feel important? Approval. You ran to your parents. Look what I did! Am I good? You learned that authority figures have the power to evaluate reality. And you realized that your peace of mind depends on their applause. The problem is that you grew up, but your psyche did not. You walk through the world projecting this authority figure onto everyone around you. On your exes, on your colleagues, on complete strangers on the internet. When you put your life on display, you are subconsciously saying, "You are the jury. I am the child. Please like my existence so that I can feel safe again." It reeks of weakness. And people, being primitive creatures, can smell this scent of submission a mile away. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." Now translate that into the language of modern social dynamics. It is much safer to be a mystery than an open book. When you rush to publish a post, you place the need to be seen above the need to be respected. You say, "Please acknowledge my success. Please see how happy I am." But a king does not report on his dinner to his peasants. A lion does not post stories about his gazelle hunt. The moment you start taking selfies, writing long posts about your awareness, and posting geolocations to prove your status, you signal that your inner stability depends on their reaction. You have given them the keys to your mind. And once they have that key, they can devalue you at any moment, simply by ignoring your post. Just by swiping indifferently through your life. This is the validation trap. You believe that if you just make everything look pretty enough, pick the perfect filter and the right words, they'll say, "Wow, he has the perfect life. He's better than me." How often does that actually happen? Almost never. Because social media isn't about genuine joy for others. It's an arena of hidden competition. They don't look at your posts to admire them. They look to compare and find your vulnerabilities. And you yourself give them all the cards. The first step toward becoming psychologically invulnerable is to realize that there is no virtual courtroom. There is no judge. There is no audience whose opinion carries any real weight. There is only you and your physical reality. When you stop treating other people as spectators evaluating your performance, their likes cease to be currency. They become just noise. And noise has no power over those who control silence. Let me give you a concrete example of how this destroys a manipulator. Let's call it the bait. Imagine someone who thrives on drama, a toxic ex, a jealous coworker, or a fake friend. They want to know they still have power over you. They want to know you are watching. So, they set a trap. They post something specifically designed to trigger you. A passive-aggressive quote. A picture highlighting an event you weren't invited to. A subtle flex aimed right at your insecurities. They are fishing for a reaction. Let me give you a concrete example of how this destroys a manipulator. Let's call it __quote _1__. Imagine someone who thrives on drama, a toxic ex, a jealous coworker, or a fake friend. They want to know they still have power over you. They want to know you are watching. So, they set a trap. They post something specifically designed to trigger you. A passive-aggressive quote. A picture highlighting an event you weren't invited to. A subtle flex aimed right at your insecurities. They are fishing for a reaction. You don't view their content, but more importantly, You don't block them. Blocking is a reaction. It shows you care enough to build a wall. Instead, you simply stop existing in their digital ecosystem. You go completely dark. No updates, no sad quotes, no proof of life. Day 1, they think you're just busy. Day 3, the cognitive dissonance begins to set in. By day 7, they are psychologically spiraling. Why? Because the human brain cannot handle a vacuum. When you give an insecure person absolute silence, they are forced to fill that empty space with their own deepest fears. They start projecting. They think, underscore, underscore, quote, underscore, to, underscore, underscore. Your silence didn't just protect you. It became a psychological mirror, reflecting their own insignificance right back at them. You didn't argue. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't lift a single finger. And yet, you completely shattered their frame. This is invisible warfare, and it is terrifyingly effective. So what happens when you don't jump when the algorithm tells you to? Imagine this scenario. Someone is trying to find you online. Your ex-partner wanting to make sure you're suffering. Your jealous coworker looking for gossip. They type your name into the search bar and find nothing. No stories, no justification for your existence. Silence. Do you know what happens in this informational silence? A psychological vacuum is created. The human brain is terrified of the unknown. In today's world, where everyone is turned inside out, the absence of information is perceived as a glitch in the matrix. It signals that you are not playing by their rules. When you maintain digital silence, you mirror their own anxiety. You make them stew in the tension they themselves have created in their heads. Power shifts. It's the gray stone method taken to the extreme. You become emptiness. And emptiness cannot be attacked. You cannot hit fog. You cannot cut through water. By refusing to provide targets in the form of facts about your life, you force any gossip and other people's judgments to pass through you, depriving them of their power. But be prepared. This will require tremendous inner control. Because inside you, your ego will be screaming, "Show them. Post that photo. Let them see how happy you are, how successful you are, how beautiful you are. Rub it in their faces." You should put that dog on a leash. Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. When you post your life, you reveal your vulnerabilities. You show what is important to you. You expose your buttons. You post a photo with an expensive car. Now they know that your weakness is status. You post every second of your relationship. Now they know that your fear is loneliness. Defender, weak. No, I just value my privacy. Social media is so toxic, it's a waste of time. Boring, predictable, weak. Machiavellian. You figured me out. Actually, I'm in the witness protection program and the cartel is still looking for me. Don't tell anyone. You say this with a completely impassive face or a slight, barely noticeable smirk. What did you just do? You refused to be offended. You proved that you have no hang-ups about your choices. You turned their claim into a joke. You established that you define reality, not them. This takes away the attacker's weapon. They wanted to make you feel wrong, like a black sheep. Instead, you took their knife and started peeling an apple with it. This conveys a state of playful superiority. Playful superiority is the highest point of status. It's the attitude of an adult watching a child throw a tantrum in a store. You're not angry at the child. You don't argue with them. You're just amused by the drama because you know you're safe. When you try to explain to people why you don't use social media, you sit on the floor and start screaming along with that child. Don't do that. Stand up. Look down from above. Smile. Invisibility reveals nothing. It's a dark mirror, and when they look into it, they see only their own complexes and assumptions, and that hurts them. It makes them feel vulnerable, which is ironic, because you haven't done a single thing. Sometimes, of course, silence is not enough. Sooner or later in real life, someone will ask you, "Hey, why are you nowhere to be found? Are you a sociopath? Did something happen to you?" If you start defending yourself, you will lose. You shouldn't push against the wall. You should use the aikido of communication. Agree and exaggerate. If you are accused of something absurd, for example, that being secretive is strange, defending yourself only confirms that the accusation has weight. Instead, turn it into a caricature. Everyday person. You're not even on Instagram. You're kind of weird. Are you hiding from someone? Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, writes about Law 25. Reinvent yourself. Part of this process involves rejecting the identity that others try to impose on you. When they try to label you as out of touch or weird, they are trying to put you in a box. If you argue with the box, you're already in it. If you laugh at the box, you dissolve it. You're too closed off. I prefer the term exclusive, but let's go with that. You'll never get anywhere if you don't build your personal brand. I'm working on it. I've planned my first successful success for next Thursday. It's ruthless, it's discouraging, and it's incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows your integrity. You don't need their validation to know who you are. Let's dig deeper into the philosophy behind this interaction. Every dialogue has a metastructure, a hidden architecture. When it comes to your life on social media, there is usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions. ___, quote __0__. And the defendant responds, "No, I'm just working a lot. I just don't have time for that right now." The one asking the questions holds the power. The one making excuses loses status. The most deadly Machiavellian trick is to simply abandon the role of the defendant and take the judge's seat. You do this by answering a question with a question or analyzing their dependence instead of remaining silent. They say, "You've disappeared from the radar. You're living like a hermit." Defender, "No, I'm just tired of my phone, trying to be in the moment." Loss. Machiavellian, "Why does something you don't see on your phone screen cause you such intense anxiety?" Boom. See that shift? Suddenly, we're no longer talking about your account. We're talking about their digital addiction. We're talking about their need to snoop. You've turned the spotlight back on them. It's funny that you perceive my absence as a problem. Does it make you uncomfortable? You psychoanalyze them in real time. For people who are used to living for show, this is unbearable. They want to corner you. Instead, you walk around them, looking at them like a specimen in a jar. It's a verbal force field. You say, "These are your algorithms and your fears, not mine. Keep them to yourself. But here's the paradox. Sometimes the most aggressive, game-changing move you can make is to agree. But not in the way you think. It's not the agreement of submission. It's the agreement of the abyss. Imagine someone trying to sting you with your invisibility. They're trying to provoke a feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out. You look them straight in the eye and calmly say, "You're right." And then you fall silent. "You're right. Everyone has forgotten about me. You're right. I'm completely out of the loop." This is the fog technique. When you throw a stone into a thick fog, what happens? Nothing. No knock, no ricochet. The stone just disappears. When you agree with their attempt to hurt you, you steal their momentum. They push the door, expecting it to be locked. You open it, and they fall flat on their faces. They want resistance. Resistance confirms that they are right. Your absolute calm neutralizes it. But remember, none of this will work if it's just a tactic. If you say these words, but your voice trembles, your eyes dart around, and your energy screams, "Please tell me I'm not a failure," you will lose. Dark psychology is 20% words and 80% non-verbal frame. You have to build the internal architecture to withstand that silence. And that brings us back to your shadow. Why is it so difficult not to post anything? Why does your hand reach for the camera when you're drinking a nice cup of coffee or standing on top of a mountain? Because it touches a wound that is already there. The fear of emptiness. The fear that if no one is looking at you, you don't exist. The perfect defense is not a verbal technique. It is self-knowledge. It is the ability to look into your own darkness and accept your shadow. When you know your true value and someone says that you have dropped out of life, you smile. It is impossible to shame a person who has already accepted themselves. It is impossible to devalue someone who no longer needs an audience. That is what it means to be invulnerable. You become transparent. Light passes through you. The arrows of other people's opinions pass through you. You are no longer a fortress that needs to be defended from falling. You are the wind. So, here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, you're starting a game. The game is called Ghost. No matter what happens, no matter what incredible insight you have, no matter what perfect shot you capture, you are not allowed to post it. If you bought a new car, keep quiet. If you went to a paradise island, don't post a single story. Live your triumph in absolute darkness. Sit in the fire of this discomfort. Feel the burning need to document it, to control others' perceptions, to be successful in their eyes. And let that need burn to the ground. Watch what happens to you, and watch the reaction of the people around you when you stop playing their game. At first, you will see confusion, then respect, and then a strange, inexplicable magnetism. Because people are drawn to confidence, and nothing screams confidence louder than a person who doesn't need to prove to the world that they are alive. You reclaim your energy. You patch the holes in your soul. You step out of the role of digital slave and into the role of sovereign. The world will try to pull you back in. Algorithms will throw notifications at you. Society loves reaction. Don't give it. Keep your secret. Keep your power. Keep your silence. If this philosophy resonates with that dark, deep part of your mind, with that part that is deadly tired of being a clown in the arena of someone else's attention, then you know what to do. Subscribe, but not because I asked you to. Subscribe because you are done being digital fodder in a world of algorithmic predators.